A very good morning to you. You're watching Citizen Extra with me, Lillian Muli. We thank you so much for your time this morning. This morning we'll be looking at reactions from a cross-section of Kenyans in different parts of the country. We'll be going live to Eldoret, where we'll be talking to John Wanyama, that's in Uasin Gishu County. We're also going to be live in Mombasa County, where Patrick Kanga will also be giving us an update on how residents there are reacting to last night's presidential debate, as well as Laura Achieng in Kisumu County, also looking at reactions to the presidential debate that was held yesterday, and that is coming up on Citizen Extra. With us in studio this morning to look at news shaping the day, I'll be joined by Ray Ochieng, who is a political analyst. He will be helping us make sense of news shaping the day with only 13 days to the election. We're also going to be joined by John Kagushia, who is a constitutional lawyer. He'll also be giving us his views. We're also going to be with Charles Munyui, political analyst, and of course also with us this morning is policy consultant David Osiani, who will be giving us his views on news shaping the day. Before we get into that, let's cross over now to John Wanyama, who is in Uasin Gishu County. He is in Eldoret as we speak. We want to get reactions on the presidential debate. John, what are people there saying?
Good morning, Lillian, and here in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, residents most of them are disappointed for the president not attending yesterday's debate, and they have mixed reaction towards as to why, where, and how could the president just not decide not to come to this debate yesterday. I have with me residents of this town, and we would like to talk to them just to tell us what do they feel about the debate yesterday generally. If I can start with you, my first question. How was the debate yesterday?
Asante kwa majina naitwa David Ochola. Asante kwa majina naitwa David Ochola. Debate ya jana ilikuwa nzuri. Isipokuwa mahali tulikuwa disappointed. Tulingojea former prime minister na the current president wakae pale tuwaulize maswali wa debate wakiwa pamoja, lakini president alitudisappoint. Kwa maoni yangu niliona ni kama aliogopa maswali ambaye anafaa kukuwa accounted for. So kwa hivyo tulikuwa disappointed kuna urais.
Yeah. If you can move closer here.
First of all, I must start by congratulating those presidential aspirants who attended yesterday's debate. The first batch of yesterday's debate was a good one. Dr. Kaluyu, Professor Wainaina, and Dr. Ekuru Aukot, they did perform very well, especially Dr. Ekuru Aukot. He showed that he knows the issues affecting the Kenyans and how to solve them. In the next batch, where Right Honorable Raila Odinga was supposed to attend, and he attended, and Uhuru did not, Raila performed well. He showed that he knows the challenges that is affecting the Kenyans, and he was able to point a number of them with a little humor, and also he was able to outline the manifesto of NASA. And the one that was sparking was the Rent Restriction Act, and also something about those single mothers. So he performed well. But also he did not actually outline how he was going to solve those challenges that is facing the Kenyans. And for me, I would give Raila 50-51. And for Uhuru, he missed the debate, and that was purely strategy. He employed strategy number 26 of he avoided the targets. I happened to watch the 2013 debate, and it was reduced to personal attacks between the two families. So I think the president was avoiding igniting the feuds between the two families, and for me, I think his strategy worked well.
Okay. Thank you.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Richard Rotara. Mimi ni mkaaji wa Singisu County. Kwa maoni yangu na esansia wale wengine ambao walikuja kwa studio wakakuja kuulizwa maswali, tulifurahishwa nao kulingana na vile walikuwa wanajibu wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo hiyo debate haikuwa ya President Honori, ilikuwa ya wa Kenya. So ni kuja kwa upande ya Raila alikuja kwa debate na yale maneno ambao alinenea wa Kenya ile kazi ambao atakuwa akifanya akiwa atachukua upresident. Kwa hivyo hiyo kitu maneno yenye aliongea na wa Kenya wengi ambao wametoa maoni wamesema kulingana na vile aliongea kuna cheche ya maneno ya kati hawa na huko na huku, akasema hiyo ni cheche yao sio yenu nyinyi. Kwa hivyo hiyo kitu ilinifurahisha sana. Nikuja kwa upande ya president alikosea wa Kenya. Kwa nini? Kukuja kwa hiyo debate inamaanisha akuje kutuambia ni nini alifanyia wa Kenya for 4 years ili wamuulize maswali. Kulikuwa na maswali hata sisi tunajiuliza lakini hatufiki president, especially kulingana na ile manifesto yao ya last. Kulikuwa na maswali angeulizwa, hawakutenda vitu zenye waliahidi wa Kenya. So vitu kama hizo ndio nafikiria president aliogopa asikuje kwa hiyo debate. Asanteni.
My name is Marcel Okot. What my opinion as to whether they attended or not attended is fight coin. The reason what I want to appreciate those people who attended and the ones who did not attend. You know, by the time our dearest President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta presented his papers to the IEBC, he was applying for a job. And as normal, if at all you apply for a job, you must be vetted, you must be interviewed, and when you are called to do so, you must appear to do so. And therefore, failure to which he did not, there is some difficulties in me. I feel that he disappointed me for not appearing to the panel to be asked for the questions he is supposed to ask as a president of Kenya. And therefore, it goes without saying, if you see a cobweb shakes, know very well the fly is caught, and the patient spider will have its meal. Thank you so much.
Okay. Finally.
Oh, wow.
Okay, finally we are late.
Okay. Kwa jina mimi naitwa Josiah Ogola. Mimi ni mkaji wa Singisi County hapa. So mimi chenye ilifanyika jana mimi sikufurahia sana kwa sababu si mara ya kwanza wakiitwa. Nilikuwa na expect our president akuje atuambie chenye hajafanya na chenye amefanya, na tumestuka sana kama president anakuwa na uoga na yeye ndio macho ya Kenya saizi. Kwa hivyo sisi ile tuliona hatukufurahia, na tulifurahia mheshimiwa Raila vile aliongea, na tunataka Kenya waangalie hii watu wawili wapige kura kwa amani, na tuangalie mbele itakuwa namna gani, kwa sababu hatutaki turudie chenye ilitupata wakati ile ingine. Yes.
Thank you very much, Lilian. And as you've heard views from them, Lilian, they have different views, but most of them are disappointed. Most of Kenyans feel like Kiriara, the running mate, who had his also solo interview last time, they feel like he performed above sea level, and he did more than what those who are seen as presidential candidate did yesterday. From Uasin Gishu, Lilian, I have no much. Over to you, studio.
Thank you very much for that. That's John Onyama coming to us from Eldoret. Mixed reactions there from residents of that particular town and indeed of that county. That's Uasin Gishu County. That's regarding last night's presidential debate, which President Uhuru Kenyatta snubbed. Let's cross over now to Mombasa County, where Patrick Kanga is on standby. Want to get reactions there as well following yesterday's presidential debate.
Kwa majina kamili mimi naitwa Evans Onyango. Mimi ni mkazi hapa Kisauni. Kulingana na debate ya jana haikunifurahisha kwa sababu kama rais wangu wa Kenya haja represent kwa ile mjadala wa jana, haikunifurahisha. Hiyo ilionyesha ishara mbaya kwa nchi zote, hata hapa Kenya. Ile ya kwanza kwa Raila, ningependa Raila azungumzie kwa hii job opportunity hii ya vijana.
Mimi naitwa Harun Budhia Kanyi. Mimi naongea mambo ya debate ya jana, na debate ya jana ilifelo kabisa. Raila alikataa kujibu maswali. Mambo ya Uhuru kutoenda ilikuwa sawa, kwa vile pale ni kupoteza wakati. Na hawa watu wanaunda ile mikakati ile, hapo na msingi wowote.
Kwa majina ni Salim Mohamed. Kwa majina naitwa Salim Mohamed, na concerning debate ya jana 50% Kenyans waligain na 50% walilose depending na ile the way ilikuja. Kwa presidential debates tuonyesha kuwa Uhuru kutokuja yake alitufail sisi Kenya, kama na hakuweza kufika on 8 meaning saa 2 ya jioni ya usiku. That is a show that hata ataka pia sisi tuende tumpigie kura. Pili, upande ya debate ya upande ya Raila sama wali show some concern concerning Kenya. Kwa example ile issue ya ukabila, aliongea insensitive, akamaanisha ukabila si bali ukabila ni juu. So it's a message to Kenyans that we should avoid the issue of the tribalism. Thank you.
Kwa majina naitwa Solomon Ongere. Mjadala ni muhimu kwa sababu Rais Uhuru Kenyatta tulikuwa tarajia mambo mengi kutoka kwake. Ndio tumekuwa na changamoto sana kama wa Kenya. Na Raila alipokuja pale, yeye hajawahi kuwa rais, lakini alijikamua akajaribu kujibu maswali katika mtarajio wa Kenya wote. Na ulimwengu pia ulikuwa utarajia kuona kwamba wote ambao ni wapinzani wawili wakubwa wapeane mazungumzo ili tuweze kuangalia yupi ambaye anafaa sisi wa Kenya wakati ambao tutapita changamoto, mambo magumu.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Mkenya Mlalahoi. Mjadala wa jana ulifaulu sana kwa sababu anayetafuta kazi ndiye anayefanywa nini, anayehojiwa. Raila alituonesha ukakamavu kwamba anatafuta kazi, na the retiring president Kenyatta yeye alichofanya tayari hakutaka kazi. Kwa maanisha yeye hayuko tayari kuendelea na kazi ambazo tunafanya nini inayotakikana kwa Kenya. Ndio maana ndiposa aliyetafuta kazi kama Raila alifika pale kutueleza nini, na sisi tunamwomba serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta ambayo kwa atuletee ile chang'aa, kwa sababu ni wakati wa kusherekea.
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Katana Mzalendo. Kusema kweli mjadala wa jana haukunifurahisha mimi kamwe, kwa sababu katika kongamano la marais huwa inapaswa ulize swali ujibu swali, sio niulizwe tu mimi peke yangu wakati wewe umehepa. Chenye alifanya ni rais wa taifa Uhuru Kenyatta alifanya makosa na makosa kabisa.
Mimi kwa jina naitwa Ambrose Nyachi. Nasikitika sana kwa rais kukosa kuhudhuria ule mjadala, kwa sababu kulikuwa kuna maswali mengi ambayo mwananchi angetaka ayaulize, kama vile ukosefu wa usalama, kupotea kwa unga wa sima. Hayo ni maswali ambayo tulikuwa tunatarajia kwamba yeye mwenyewe angetujibu, tukaelewa ni kitu gani ambacho anapanga kusuluhisha matatizo kama hayo. Asante.
Jina langu ni Fatuma, mkazi wa Mlaleo. Maoni yangu ni kwa sababu mheshimiwa hakufika kwenye mjadala kwa sababu ambazo anazijua mwenyewe, na mimi kama mama tunangojea mheshimiwa alikuwa atujibu mambo ambayo yaendelea kuhusu mambo ya kura. Nampongeza kiongozi wa NASA mheshimiwa bwana Raila.
That's County 001, and of course residents there expressing displeasure over the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta skipped the presidential debate. We do know that the head of state had indicated that he would skip the event, but residents there feeling that they were not given a chance to vet the president afresh ahead of the August polls, which are only 13 days away. We're now crossing over to Kisumu County, where Laura Achieng is on standby. Laura, we do know that Kisumu is a NASA stronghold. What are people there saying? How did they receive news of the NASA presidential candidate taking on the stage by himself?
Yes, thank you very much, Lillian, back at the Communication Center. And here in Kisumu County, of course, a very chilly morning, but some people have already come out to discuss yesterday's debate with slightly about maybe 13 days only to the general polls. And there are mixed feelings being elicited here. Actually, of course, they're talking about the entire debate and not only Raila Odinga's debate. Actually, they have some kind of some sentiments, of course, to express concerning the first leg of the debate, which was attended by only 3 of the candidates. That was Professor Wainaina and Dr. Japheth, and of course Third Way Party Alliance, Ekuru Aukot. And now maybe if I could sample the sentiments, of course, concerning that one and the second leg of debate, which was a one-man show. Sir, could you tell us what you think generally about the debate?
Yeah, the debate of the first contenders was not very much important to Kenyans. After all, we could just see them talking about the same ideas. After all, one of them was supporting one another. So that means that they would have even formed a one force to compete with the 2 strong contenders, instead of each of them going to seek for president, to look for the presidential position. Yeah.
And for Raila?
Raila was very candid. He was very much to the point. In fact, he set out his priorities when he gets into power. That was very important to us, because he told us the plan that he has when he takes over, and he talks about so many things. We learned that Raila has a lot of experience in Kenya, in politics of Kenya, and that is why his ideas were very important to us. And what we could learn, that Uhuru did not appear in that debate. That was very wrong, because it was Uhuru versus Raila, and the reason why he failed to turn up is very bad, and we are not happy with that, because we wanted him to go and defend the allegations of corruption, the allegations of unemployment, the allegations of nepotism, the allegations of all these negative things that have happened in his government since 2013. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sir, could you come please over here and tell us, what do you think about Raila's scorecard on yesterday's presidential debate?
Raila scorecard ya jana ilikuwa mzuri sana, na ningependa kupongeza Joshua Raila Amolo Odinga kwa kuongea na watu wa Kenya kwa njia ambayo iliyofaa. Kitu ambayo ilinishika roho sana, vile Raila alisema, vile alitetea wananchi mpaka akapelekwa kwa korokoroni, mpaka akaletea shida. Na hasa ingine naweza sema Raila aliongea kuhusu mambo ya rents, vitu ambayo inakumba wananchi wengi. Kwa sasa unaweza kuona kama wale ambao wanakaa kwenye slums, wengine wana mara mingi landlords wanapandisha bei ya manyumba. Tumeona kama aliongea kuhusu mambo ya rent hiyo, mpaka mtu ambayo kama jua kali kama mimi atapata urahisi wa maisha.
Na unaona kama hiyo debate itasaidia kupata kura?
Hiyo debate itamsaidia kabisa tena sana. Hiyo debate vile alikuwa anatoa mapendekezo yake na vitu ambavyo anaenda kufanyia wananchi wa kawaida. Kwa hiyo Uhuru Kenyatta, kwanza naweza sema ni pole sana kwa wananchi wa Kenya, juu yeye ndio rais ambao anafanya. Angeenda tu jana ili at least awaambie wananchi wa Kenya ni kitu gani ambayo amefanya na jambo gani ambalo anataka kufanya akirudia kwa mamlaka kwa tamu yake ya pili.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. And of course, Lillian, those are some of the sentiments being reflected here by the residents of Kisumu, which is actually considered Raila's, or rather NASA's bedrock. Of course, this being one of the very areas that are really marked orange. Actually, it's an ODM zone, which automatically translates to a NASA region. The residents here are hoping that Raila's performance yesterday will actually help them in getting more numbers into the fold to enable him clinch the seat come August 8th. And of course, those are some of the sentiments of the residents here. If anything, of course, transpires here, be sure that we will be keeping you posted. Back to you, Lillian.
That is Laura Achieng in Kisumu County. Residents there reacting to last night's presidential debate, which President Uhuru Kenyatta snubbed. It was hosted at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. President Uhuru Kenyatta's close competitor Raila Odinga of NASA attended the session and was engaged in the discussion. In an earlier debate, Alliance for Real Change flag bearer Mohamed Abduba Dida also did not participate in the debate, citing media bias. Two other candidates, that's Joseph Nyaga, who is running as an independent, and Cyrus Jirongo of the United Democratic Party, also skipped the debates. We'll begin with the second debate. And gentlemen, your first impression of that debate, particularly and specifically the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta chose not to attend. I'll start with you, David.
Thank you, Lillian. I think President Uhuru Kenyatta has had a proclivity for no-show when it's needed the most. That was not unexpected of him. It becomes very hard after you have grossly underperformed over 5 years to try and explain yourself to Kenyans when you're standing up against one man who, you know, has been the leader of opposition. You know, then you'll probably bombard President Uhuru with where are the roads, you know, why do we have our debt at all this time high? Why are doctors, nurses and teachers constantly on strike, including lecturers? What really is going on? Why are our unemployment rates grotesquely over 50%? Unacceptable. What happened to your manifesto when you got into office? You know, so there would be so much questions to ask. Why is it that your deputy's hotel, you know, the first outbreak of cholera was reported in your deputy's hotel, but you've decided to target other hotels and leave this one open? The big and the mighty, where is UNGA pricing? What have you done about informal settlement? What have you done about the informal sector to try and, you know, deal with the unemployment problem? So much that I bet the president could not answer. And therefore, the best thing for him to do at that point is, you know what, silence can never be misquoted. I don't want to go embarrass myself. I'll give Raila Odinga an edge, so let's just wait. But I think in so doing, what happens is there is the undecided pool of voters. You see, they are the decideds that you probably wouldn't change. However good Raila talks, they may not get it. However good Uhuru talks, they may not get it. But then there is this undecided pool, which was a target for Raila Odinga and Uhuru. Now that Uhuru did not show up, I can nearly confirm to you that Raila Odinga would probably walk away with 70% of the undecided voters, because his presentation yesterday was perfect. He was coherent, came out witty, looked intelligent, sounded informed, very knowledgeable. It has a grasp of government operations, and I think it was a score for him.
And Charles, I see you reacting immediately to what David is saying. This is the fourth time that Raila Odinga is running for the presidency. So, you know, he's showing up and the president clearly snubbing that opportunity. What are the implications of this for you?
I'm amazed at my friend because number one, I think he should know the personality, the person of the President of the Republic of Kenya by now. That when he sticks to something, he sticks to it. It doesn't matter how it looks out there. He is not a person that is just about creating perceptions. The President's office had issues, certain issues it had raised about the debate. The first one being, we benchmark this on the US one that is managed by Commission on Presidential Debates, which is public and non-profit making. The President, there is the issue of the fact that the debate, the one that we were using is private. I don't want to go into that because there are concerns there because of matters funding. Number two, and more importantly, there was raised the issue of inherent bias, and that's why it was necessary to involve the office of the president, or at minimum the office of the deputy president and the party in organizing this event, because inherent bias does happen. And even timing. You remember yesterday the president was hosting Samburu, and to an average person it might look like just an event, but if you know what's going on in Laikipia right now between the Samburu herders and the people in Samburu, especially the ranchers, it's a serious issue there. People are losing lives every day. People are moving every day. He was reconciling these people. If the office was involved in terms of timing, would have a better timing for this. Now, moving closer to home, in terms of the issues under discussion, and if you looked at the debate clearly, it was about basic issues that have been there, that are captured seriously in the manifesto that we have, and also issues timing, campaign time. In terms of campaign time, and I know this has been publicized by the media a lot, but we are saying campaign time, 1 minute, 1 hour counts for a lot. So I think this aspect of organizing this event should have been worked better. But more importantly, I don't think Raila being the alternative to the president today, to forming government, basic issues, did he just say that he's going to Magufuli? If he was given an opportunity with Waiguru, he would have Magufuri'd that situation. What
and
he's saying,
when you say that this event should have been organized better, wasn't the president given sufficient time together with his team to reorganize themselves after the debate was postponed?
I think what he needed and what should happen now, because he said his team was not involved, I think the best thing the media, the organizers of this should do is publish the names of those individuals that they were working with from the president or the deputy president's office. And I think with that list now we'll be able to say actually the office was involved, because the reason as why it is important to work with the offices of both Raila and Uhuru is so that they can harmonize some of these things. We cannot be able to say a lot, but he has said categorically that his office was not involved, and I think the best way to go moving forward is to have that out. Now, moving into what my friend said about articulacy of issues, there are 3 areas Raila has been very keen on. And fighting corruption. He said, given the opportunity, and it was asked 3-4 times. I found him laughing alone. The host, I'm very happy about the host because they were very, very serious. They asked him about the issue of Waiguru, and he said, ultimately he said he would have Magufuli the situation, meaning he would have thrown the constitution out through the window. Because that's what Magufuli is doing. The constitution in Tanzania is totally different from the constitution that we have. When he was asked about matters of land, and when he talked about in Kajiado people moving out, he remembered very quickly now there are cases in Kajiado, and he said he cannot talk such. Thirdly, about matters of housing. He was asked, how do you said you're going to deal with issues of rent, and he quickly came down to something that is substantively addressed by the rent tribunal. He said it's not about the average homes I'm talking about the structures in Kibera and those others. So I think to me,
we'll be getting into the specific issues. We'll be getting into the specific issues. Let me give both Kagushia and Ray an opportunity to also give us their views. The president, snubbing this election, and just ignoring the fact that Kenyans feel that they have a right to audit and vet him afresh with only 13 days to go to the polls. The moderators and indeed the organizers of the event chose to give Raila this platform. Nevertheless, was this a level playing field for both candidates? Did this offer a level playing field and also give Kenyans their right to make an objective decision on who really they should cast the ballot for? What do you take home from the fact that the organizers chose to let presidential candidate of NASA, Raila Odinga, take this platform on his own?
Thank you so much, Lillian. I think Charles is really glossing a lot of many things, and Dave is also mischievous in some areas. but Lillian, I think we don't want to sit on an ivory tower and start to speculate things that does not represent the majority of the Kenyans. Actually, you talk with people outside. Kenyans would have loved the president to come to the debate. I think we were here on last Monday, and we really wished. And actually, last Monday I was defending William, Deputy President, and Kalonzo, and I said, in terms of how they raised the issue of the organization of the debate, I was really on their side. And we pleaded and we said, I think moving forward,
Sometimes it's always good to, even in the Bible, there are times whereby when the king is naked, then you have to tell the king this is what should be done. I think in terms of whether we are going to be talking about this was a profit making, at the end of the day, let's look at chapter 9 of the Constitution. Article 131, especially the D area, whereby even the presidency alone is a unifying figure. So I think in this case, Lillian, we should have had the president. And I know maybe like Des may bash me for this. In terms of debate, I really believe that Uhuru would have fared much better than Raila, because in terms of articulation, rhetoric, and putting his mind together and being agile and being more younger, he would have really easily carried the day. So I think in terms of Lillian, we are getting the views of the Kenyans. And in terms of, I would not go to what extent, would this cause the damage, because we know the political formation and how people are going to be voting pretty much has been defined. But there are those packets of few people who may have still been waiting. So as a gesture of just humility and a gesture of just demystifying power, because we know the two guys, and Lillian, again, another thing that the debate failed in, two areas. One, we've not really highlighted the other candidates. Then number two, in terms of the structuration of and design of the question, even if the president was going to come, comparatively what would have been saying here is that the questions were not designed in a manner in which you can really measure somebody in what are they going to do for the country. A bunch of it was really on what has failed, what did you do in this failing. I don't have a problem with historicity, but I really believe, Lillian, it should have been brought moving forward in terms of somebody highlighting in-depth policy issues. So, first of all, lastly, I also defend the president on this. I believe the president as a person would have come for this debate. The people who misadvised, I think they should take a flight.
And then perhaps, you know, with the president opting to snub this event, there's a question that one of the moderators put forward to Raila Odinga, the fact that Kenyans feel that the politics of this country has been held hostage by these two families. One family with a sense of entitlement, and that's, you know, the ruling government currently, you know, President Uhuru Kenyatta being the son of the founding father of this nation, and then the other with a victim mentality. And therefore, when you hear this narrative coming across from the moderators, perhaps then the president also avoiding this narrative where it is an obvious that this race is between two, and therefore not looking at this as a level playing field even for the other presidential candidates.
Lillian, let me probably just start by giving a comment on the issue of the president not appearing yesterday. And one of the questions I would actually want to ask the Debate Media Limited is whether the president snubbed the event yesterday, or he had already communicated that he was not to attend. Because from where I stand, I think there's a possibility that there was that communication well ahead of time.
But then he also did cancel his Samburu tour, and therefore the assumption was that he did that because he intended to attend the debate.
I think that was just an assumption, because some people may have imagined that he's going to do a surprise appearance. But having communicated well earlier on that he was not going to participate in the debate and withdrawing the presidency from the debate, I don't think it was also very sincere of us to continue advertising that the president would appear even without having his direct appointment on that debate, because then that raised expectations amongst Kenyans, and when he did not appear, there was a lot of disappointment, of course, even from his fans, because you can be a mere witness. Kenyans were spoiling for a fight. They wanted to see a battle between the two titans in the show. So having been denied that, there was of course that disappointment coming. But again, I want to say that it would have been ideal for the president to actually debate with Right Honorable Raila Odinga, so that then the issues can come out in a good way. So now that he did not attend, I think it would have been also fair for us then to also highlight more of the debate of the earlier candidates who appeared in the first session. I looked at the dailies today again and found that we are not talking about that. We are all on the issue of Uhuru Raila. Even when Uhuru did not attend, he still makes a big subject out of this debate. But then I think the issues that were debated there, again I would support Ray here, that the structure and the format of those questions was not bringing out what really the presidents or the presidential candidates are supposed to do when they're in office. It's still okay the way we focused on the historical issues and the decisions that have been made in the past that then inform our future. But again, there is a way in which the questions that came looked like it was a friendly chat between Raila Odinga and the interviewers who are interviewing him. It just looked like you know, very nice chat of friends, but it would have been more deeper and more forward-looking. Having said that, some of the issues that came out of that debate, and I want to say there's a very positive thing, that Raila Odinga came to the closest point actually of giving the notion, or giving the indication that he will accept the outcome of the election without having to give many conditionalities. And I would want to say that is one of the achievements of this debate, because in the field, in the campaign rallies, this has not been coming out very clearly, and for that reason it has created a lot of tension.
David, did that come out clearly for you, the fact that he would accept defeat if at all he is defeated come the August polls? And indeed, just looking at what he pledged to do, he promised to bring down the cost of living, address food shortage and create employment. But Charles is also of the opinion that he really scattered over issues. For instance, when he was asked about the separate tallying center in Tanzania, he said that you know, there are tallying centers in Kenya and in the clouds, I believe he said something like that. So a little bit of a friendly banter from the NASA presidential candidate. For you, did he articulate the issues well? And in that message, did you feel a sense of him saying that come August, should NASA be defeated, that he will accept the results? Did you get that?
Lillian, I bet you have been in media to watch Raila Odinga several times, umpteen times presenting, and you will agree with me that last night was one of his favorite presentations. Looked fresh, looked good, looked well-groomed, was out there, not tired, had a good time. And I think Kagosha, when Kagosha says it was like a friendly banter, he probably expected a very emotive and dramatized presentation from the people. He watches a lot of hard talk on BBC, I suppose. That's not what we were looking for. We were looking for facts. And I bet Raila Odinga delved into the facts incisively. When he spoke about the Rent Restriction Act, for example, he made it very clear that whereas I know they're income owners, you know, they're landlords. Well, he said they are not even landlords, all right? They are structure owners who expect to take home rent. We must be a country that is empathetic with our people, with our single women and many others, to be able to live and let live. Let's create a balance so that the rich, the Wall Street equivalent of Americans, can have their field day fine. But let's ensure that we take care of our people, not leaving them to the wolves to just charge rates without reason. And
I think the question is in the how. I mean, because when the moderator asked how he intends to cap the rent,
but when he
that
said,
didn't also seem to come out very clearly.
But Lillian, Raila said, we will enforce the Rent Restriction Act. That's the how. How much more do we want to say? How should it be enforced? The way laws are enforced. Second, the Parliament passed and then he signs it in. He ensures that it's actually the Rent Restriction Act, Kagosha is a lawyer, exists. Has it been enforced by Jubilee? No, it hasn't. Why? Because most of them are interested in the real estate sector. They wouldn't enforce it. So that's the how. When he went about the informal sector and how to get the youth, when he talked about reducing the unemployment rate, he said we will make the informal sector a lot more robust, pumping resources, build vocational institutions, equipping our young people with the necessary education, then being able to give them enough capital to start themselves up at rates that are reduced so that they're able to even pay back the loans. That's the how. You know, I bet sometimes we just want to, you know, we have an imagination of what the responses ought to be. So much so that when the response is given the way it ought to be, we want what we had chosen to hear. And even the way he went about, you know, several issues, the way we have been neglected by Uganda and Rwanda on the Northern Corridor project. which is a vote of no confidence in the leadership of the nation.
We're taking a very short break. It's the top of the hour. When we come back, we're looking at the other three fringe presidential candidates that turned up, their criticism of both NASA and Jubilee, and indeed also getting a little bit more on the president's snubbing the presidential debate, and indeed what Raila promised to do for the people of this nation should he be elected come August, come the August polls, which are only 13 days away. We're back with more in the next hour. Stay tuned.